Good morning, friends. Welcome to the channel. Today we're going to be working on my dad's Ferris IS3200Z. And this poor thing, it's got the 37 horse fuel injected Vanguard, does not have the oil guard system. Easiest way to tell his and mine apart. Mine has oil guard and still has a roll bar, his does not. Today we're going to be working on trying to solve its starting issue. This thing starts hard. Fuel injected motor shouldn't do that. We're going to start out, we're going to pull the engine shroud off and inspect the cooling fins, make sure they're all good and they're not plugged full of grass. Next thing we're going to do is check the spark plugs, change them out, put new ones in, and just give this thing a pretty good look over and see if we can figure out why it's not wanting to cooperate. You know, as dirty as this thing is, I think the first step we're going to do is we're going to take the pressure washer after it, try to clean a bunch of this dirt and crud up, because man, we don't want that going into the cylinder when we pull the spark plugs out, and it'll just make this a whole lot more pleasurable to work on. Next step on this process, we're going to get the air filter assembly out of the way. We're going to take our Phillips screwdriver, we're going to take this one off, and then we're going to take, I believe it's a 13 millimeter. Yes, a 13 millimeter. To take these out, take this whole assembly off, then we're going to stuff a rag in the hole so we don't get any grass or anything blown down in there. So got the rag stuff down in here. Next step, we're going to take this bracket here off. These are, I think, 12s and these are 10s. These were supposed to be 12s, but I had to buy new bolts because we had to put a new assembly on this one, so they ended up being 13s. Otherwise, about everything on this motor is 10s and 12s. So we're going to take these two out, take these two, and then, well, there's supposed to be a couple bolts under here, but they seem to be missing, so we won't have to take them out. Oh yeah, I forgot on these, to get that cover off, you got to pull this bar. So to pull this bar, I believe these take 1/2 inch wrenches. These are 3/4, 3 of those on each side. There's these two. And then last but not least, there's some right down here that hold the bottom of that muffler guard. So we're gonna do that both sides, and we're gonna take this whole piece off the mower. Now we got that off. Next step, we're going to loosen this a little bit, or I did. That lets that bracket rotate out of the way. Take some screws off here. That'll pop this cover off. I'm going to take these 10 millimeters out here. It's going to pop that off. And then there's some bolts as we work our way around. This is going to have to come loose, but there's just some bolts down in here as we go. They got to come out. That'll let this whole plastic shroud off, and then we can take a look and see if it's plugged full of grass. One thing I want to point out, if you've never tore one of these apart, so there's studs that come from the engine up. These set on it, and these screw on to it. So these are threaded on both ends, so those bolts that hold that cover on, they go down in there. And we got to take a wrench and take those loose. These do take a 13 millimeter. And I would highly recommend, whenever you put these back together, put grease on that, snug them down real tight, because those like to bind onto that stud, and then it threads the stud out of the head as this comes out, and that's just no good. So here's another example of one that's the nut is stuck on the stud. We're going to take a Torx bit, take this cover off. T30 Torx, take this cover off right here. So this is what we want to see. It's not blown full of a bunch of grass and stuff down in there. Kawasaki's, I've had a lot of issues with that. It'll get grass all caked up on there and get one cylinder hot. Pinch the push rod, bend the valves, or pinch the valve and bend the push rod rather. This just doesn't seem to do that. So now that we're sure it's not full of a bunch of grass and crap that's going to go into the cylinder when we pull the spark plug, and take our 5/8 socket and take that spark plug out on both sides. So we just got the plugs out. They both look really good, which is kind of unfortunate because we were hoping that was the problem. So now I guess it's time to dig a little deeper. We're going to go ahead and put new plugs in it while we're here, but I think next thing we're going to check is we'll pull the injectors and check the spray pattern on them. Make sure that they're both firing like they're supposed to. I had a bit of a hard time finding much information on which plugs to use online, so I took an NGK BK R5E out, and I've got Champion RC12YCs going back in. The Champion is the Briggs Stratton recommended plug, so I guess that's what we're going to put back in. Dad just got that stud taken out of the cover. They're not loose, so that'll thread back in that hole. These injectors tend to get a bunch of crud kind of built up in around them, dirt and whatnot. So we're going to take the pressure washer, blast off around them. When I did my injectors on my mower in the last video, I had some stuff fall down in there and it was a pain to clean out. So we're going to take the pressure washer, clean that up, let it dry for half an hour before we tear them apart, and try to keep as much of that dirt and crud out of the intake plenum as we can. All right, friends, so we've waited about an hour here. This has got dried off. Now we are going to pull these injectors out and roll the motor over like we're going to start it and see how they spray. So we take this bolt out, it takes a 10mm wrench. And this just kind of wiggles its way up out of here. There is an O-ring down in here that holds it into the plant. Oh my, that's kind of gooey, crusty looking. So I do still have the spark plug wires off. That way the motor won't try to start and run. Ultimately, what we're trying to do here, whoops, there's a spring, I don't know where that goes. Ultimately, we're going to run the motor, roll the motor over, and we want to watch these spray and see if it's a nice spray or if it's kind of a dribble. That looks good. Got a nice spray to it. Good do. So, kind of some crud down in here and some crud down in there. I'm going to get a paper towel and we're going to clean that off before we button that back up. But I think that injector is good and we'll put him back in. I'll tell you what, friends, I'm actually going to go get a little bit of grease and put on that, slide back in so we don't damage that O-ring. Leave my dollop of grease there. That way I can get a little more when I need it. Oh yeah, that slid back in nice and easy. Lubrication is important. Now we're going to do the same thing over on the other side. Check out that spray pattern, make sure it's spraying good. Now on mine, I had one, it was hitting good on one cylinder and limping on another. mean, it was pretty obviously a fuel injector. Now, I don't know on this one. This thing's just hard starting, so it's probably not injectors. It may actually be a fuel pressure issue, and we may have to troubleshoot that as well. Well, that one's not covered in crud. Now let's make sure that you can see that. Let me spray test it. Okay, that one's spraying good too. So that's good. Those are expensive. They're a little over $100 a piece. So fella don't like putting them in unless he just absolutely has to. Grease that up. Bolt back in. Well, all right. So I guess all we've effectively changed is new spark plugs. Let's hook the spark plug wires up. Maybe it'll start right up and run nice. I don't know. I doubt it. We'll find out. That's progress. Bet it'll run better if I take the paper towel out of the intake. Well, shoot. Maybe spark plugs did the job. Anyway, that said, now we're just going to reassemble this the same way it came apart, and hopefully it just stays running. One other thing again that I want to stress, make sure you put grease on these before you put those nuts back on, because otherwise it'll thread these out of the block down here, and that's it's kind of a pain in the butt. You know, sometimes dumb luck just finds a guy. All these wires here are kind of chewed up on top. I don't know if that's because this cover's been rubbing against them. I don't see where the cover's been rubbing them. Something's been going on. I wonder if we've had a mouse nest here at some point. But none of those wires are chewed through, but they're all kind of barked up. So we're going to spray some protector on those and probably work towards seeing about a new wiring harness for this motor. Alright, well, it's got his button back up here. It does start better. That is progress. We're going to look into getting a new wiring harness because those wires that are barked up, and go from there. Anyway, thanks for tuning in. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments. If you like this video, please push the button, and if you want to, subscribe. Thanks. Bye.